Imagine coming home after serving your country, only to find a big red for sale sign in your front yard, and the HOA claims they can sell your house. That's exactly what happened to this veteran. But when he walked into the courtroom, the arrogant HOA president thought she had him beat. She didn't realize the storm she had just unleashed. By the end of the day, every board member would be paying him, and Karen? She'd learned the hard way that no one messes with a veteran. Before we dive in, drop your city in the comments to show where truth still matters. Hit that like button if you believe justice always wins, and don't forget to subscribe, because today's story proves that standing up to power can change everything. The veteran had always been a model neighbor, disciplined, respectful, and proud of his service to the country. He served with honor, earned the respect of his community, and believed in following the rules. But in the quiet streets of his neighborhood, one person seemed determined to test him, Karen, the HOA president. Middle-aged, controlling, and accustomed to making decisions without question, Karen had a reputation for punishing anyone who dared to challenge her authority. It started small. A notice about a minor parking violation. A late fee for a technicality. The veteran tried to resolve it calmly, but Karen brushed aside every explanation. She saw rules as her personal weapon, wielding them to assert power over residents. Soon, her emails turned into threats. And then, the unthinkable happened. She claimed the veteran owed back dues and moved to auction his home. The veteran stared at the notice, disbelief and anger mixing in his calm demeanor. This was more than an attack on property, it was an attack on his dignity, on the life he had built after serving his country. But he didn't panic. Instead, he began gathering documents, consulting a lawyer, and preparing to fight. Karen, meanwhile, smirked confidently in her HOA office, sure that her power and the rules were enough to crush him. The stage was set. One side armed with arrogance, the other with discipline, courage, and the truth. What happened next would shock the neighborhood, and force every member of the HOA to face a reckoning they never saw coming. The day of the HOA auction arrived, and Karen could barely hide her smug satisfaction. She stood in the center of the HOA office, signing the last of the auction documents, muttering to herself about teaching the veteran a lesson. A few board members exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the tension but unwilling to challenge her. Outside, a small crowd of neighbors gathered, curious and confused by the sudden auction notice. Whispers filled the air. How can they sell his house? He's a veteran. Meanwhile, the veteran had just learned about the auction from a neighbor. He felt a flash of anger, but it was controlled. His military training had taught him discipline. Instead of rushing blindly, he calmly gathered all the documents proving that the HOA had violated state laws and the community's own bylaws. He called his lawyer and prepared for battle, knowing that a calm, methodical approach would be far more powerful than blind fury. Inside the courtroom, tension thickened. Karen entered with her usual arrogance, flashing a self-satisfied smile, fully expecting a swift victory. She didn't realize that the veteran had already uncovered the flaws in her plan. The judge looked on quietly as Karen presented her case, talking over neighbors, flaunting the rules as if they were her personal weapon. The veteran, walking in with calm confidence, laid out his evidence one by one. Each document chipped away at Karen's arrogance. Each law-cited and procedural error revealed turned the courtroom murmur from curiosity to disbelief. The once confident HOA members exchanged nervous glances. Karen's smile faltered, then disappeared entirely. Outside, neighbors pressed against the courtroom windows, watching the drama unfold. Their shock mirrored the growing tension inside. The veteran's calm and collected demeanor contrasted sharply with Karen's rising panic. The room was silent at times, then filled with murmurs of astonishment as the truth came to light. By the end of this tense build-up, it was clear, the battle wasn't just over a house. It was about justice, power, and respect, and the veteran was ready to reclaim what was rightfully his. The courtroom was tense, every eye fixed on the veteran and the papers he had presented. Karen sat smugly at the HOA table, convinced her authority and the rules were enough to secure a win. She leaned back, folding her arms, a faint smirk on her face, until the judge spoke. Let's review the auction procedure, the judge began calmly, flipping through the documents. The room fell silent. One by one, the veteran's evidence was laid bare, notices sent late, bylaws ignored, procedures skipped. Every loophole Karen had relied on was exposed. Murmurs rippled through the room. Karen's smirk wavered, then faded as the weight of the truth sank in. The judge's tone grew sharper. Not only was the auction unlawful, but the HOA violated state regulations. As a result, the veteran's calm eyes met Karen's. The judge paused for effect. Gasps filled the room. All HOA board members listed on these documents are hereby ordered to pay restitution to the homeowner for damages caused by this illegal auction. Karen froze. Her mouth opened, then closed. The other board members gawked in disbelief. Neighbors leaned forward in shock. The veteran's face remained composed, a small glimmer of satisfaction in his eyes. Every board member, every person who had underestimated him, was now facing consequences. Karen tried to protest, to argue, but the judge's gavel slammed down decisively. The room erupted, whispers, shocked gasps, and the veteran's quiet, victorious exhale filled the space. The tables had turned completely. The arrogant HOA president, who had believed she could intimidate and control, now faced accountability. And the veteran, who had maintained dignity and composure throughout, had not only saved his home but forced the board to pay him for their wrongdoing. It was a moment of pure justice, the arrogant humbled, the disciplined rewarded, and the truth shining in full daylight. This was the kind of reversal that neighbors would talk about for years, a lesson in courage, preparation, and standing up against those who abuse power. The courtroom drama ended, but the impact rippled far beyond those walls. Outside, neighbors gathered around the veteran's home, cheering and congratulating him. The for sale sign had been removed, the symbol of Karen's arrogance now gone, replaced by a sense of justice restored. The veteran stood calmly in front of his house, military posture intact, but a faint smile of satisfaction played across his face. Karen and the other HOA board members faced the consequences of their actions. Fines, public embarrassment, and a harsh lesson in accountability, all because they underestimated one disciplined man who refused to back down. Karen's once imposing presence was diminished, her arrogance replaced by frustration and disbelief. Every move she had thought clever had been turned against her. The veteran's neighbors admired him even more. They saw not just a man defending his home, but a symbol of resilience, courage, and unwavering commitment to justice. Children waved from lawns, neighbors shook his hand, and the community shared stories of how one person's calm determination had forced the truth to prevail. In the weeks that followed, the story spread. Articles, social media posts, and word of mouth praised the veteran's intelligence and composure. The message was clear: no amount of power, arrogance, or manipulation can stand against honesty, preparation, and courage. For the veteran, the battle had never been about revenge, it was about protecting what was rightfully his and holding those accountable who abused their authority. And in doing so, he reminded everyone watching that integrity and discipline are mightier than greed and intimidation. This victory wasn't just personal, it was a lesson to the entire neighborhood, the HOA, and anyone who might try to bully others. Justice had been served, and it had come in full, undeniable force. This story is a powerful reminder: arrogance and greed cannot withstand courage, discipline, and truth. One veteran stood his ground, remained calm, and fought for justice, and in the end, he not only saved his home but held those who tried to oppress him accountable. Stories like this prove that no one is above the law, and that standing up for what's right can change everything. Share this video to remind the world that justice is possible, comment your city to show where heroes live, and hit like if you believe in standing up to power.